If you have heard any of my radio interviews on Road Dog Trucking, you've heard me say it before that transportation and trucking is one of the key essentials to the United States of America economic survival. Today, I bring on a trucking expert on this episode of The Crude Truth.
In 1901, at Spindletop Hill near Beaumont, the future of Texas changed dramatically as, like a fountain of fortune, thousands of barrels of oil burst from the earth towards the sky. Soon, Detroit would be cranking out Model Ts by the millions, and America was on the move, thanks to the black gold being produced in Texas. Now, more than a century later, the vehicles are different, but nothing else has truly changed. Sure, there may be many other alternative energy sources like wind and solar and electric. But let's be honest, America depends on oil and entrepreneurs. And if the USA is truly going to be independent, it has to know the crude truth.
This episode is brought to you by LFS Chemistry. We are committed to being good stewards of the environment. We are providing the tools so you can be too. NAPE Expo, where deals happen. Air Compressor Solutions. When everything is on the line, Air Compressor Solutions is the dependable choice to keep commercial business powered up. Sandstone Group. Exec Crew. Elevate your network, elevate your knowledge. Texas Star Alliance. Pecos Country Operating. Fueling our future.
Well, thank you again, as always, for tuning in to another episode of The Crude Truth. As my teaser said, today we're going to be talking about the trucking industry and what is going on and what changes we are seeing and why trucking companies are truly getting more leaner and meaner in what they're doing because they understand that their job is pivotal to the economics in the United States of America as we continue to go through this economic boom, which I know to some may not feel like it, especially to all of us in the oil and gas at $60 oil. But let's be real. We're producing 14 million barrels of oil a day, and we continue to drive the price in a positive direction so that Americans do have jobs. And it starts with trucking, from trucking the oil out to trucking the equipment in to even start to get that oil out. So I'm just so excited. Today, my guest is West Texas' own Tracy Dhamers. Tracy, how are you? Dhamers.
Thank you.
I went with the Dhamers. Tracy Dhamers of North Country Oil. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks, Ray, for having me.
Well, thank you so much. You have really come out in West Texas as somebody that is that true expert in the trucking side of oil and gas. You've been in it now for definitely over 1 or 2 years. For those out there that don't know you, Tracy, can you tell the listeners out there a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you. So 15 years ago, I absolutely wanted nothing to do with trucking, if you can believe it. Okay. It was not what I went to school for. And I met somebody, and he had been moving drilling rigs for almost 26 years now. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to start his own trucking company. He was currently running one for his best friend. So we put our heads together, bought one truck, and it just kind of has exploded from there.
Wow.
And he's really taught me everything I know. So when you say expert, I've learned from the best. That's where it comes from.
Well, and this is technically it's a family company. Is that correct?
Correct.
JT.
Yes.
Because it's a JT Oils where y'all started out at. Is that correct?
Correct. So Justin and I started the company almost 15 years ago.
Golly, with one truck.
With one truck.
And now y'all run over 50 trucks across the major basins in the United States. Is that correct?
Correct. North Dakota and Texas.
Yeah. That's still, as far as I'm concerned, the two majors. With the way natural gas prices are, Utica and is not really doing everything right now, but you guys have seen this, and this isn't y'all's first downturn. And I use quotations for those out there that aren't watching, because we do feel like we are in one, but so this isn't y'all's first rodeo, so to speak. What is it about this time right now that you guys are really finding different than other downturns?
Diversification. That's really important in the trucking industry. You need to be able to decide, well, there's not moving anything to do with drilling rigs. Let's go haul cattle. And yes, we have done that. We've also hauled aggregate. Anything you can do to keep the trucks moving and to keep your employees employed is the biggest concern that, of course, anybody has, is keeping their employees. Right. They are the heart and soul of your company. It is not us that is it. It's our employees, and our son even works for us. So it is very important to keep those people employed so that they can support their families, because without them, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah. So, when we talked, when you mentioned, hey, I wanted nothing to do with, or not that I wanted, you had no plan to be in
Correct.
trucking. And what was one of the biggest surprises when you did jump into the arena of trucking, 15 years ago? I mean, that was almost 2000, a little after. And when you think about it, how different was just 15 years ago from today? So what were your thoughts, 15 years ago?
So I was actually in the medical field,
Okay.
and I have a PhD.
Okay.
So when I married Justin, I continued to do that for a few years, and then we just kept getting bigger and bigger. So there was more needed of me, and I actually liked it. But the crazy thing is, if I'm going to do it, I have to learn everything. So he made me start out as a swamper. I don't know, most people, if you're not in the oil field, don't know what a swamper is. But so I was the kid on the ground.
Yeah.
That was, the lowest person on the totem pole, being able to hook up winch trucks. And then he made me learn how to drive, and all the way to being able to push the trucks on location to be able to get the job completed. From the bottom up, I had to learn. And when people, I'll tell you a little secret.
Yeah.
I went out a few years, I think it's been about 2 years ago, and pushed trucks on a rig move. And I'm probably the only female that's done it, and I've not ever seen another one. So if there is, someone correct me. But at the end of the rig move, somebody came up and said, "Oh my gosh, you did an amazing job. How do you know this?" The secret was I had him in my ear the entire time, and my son telling me what to do. So I looked phenomenal out there. Looked like I knew exactly what I was supposed to do, but I had the expert in my ear telling me how to do everything.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because, okay, so you have a PhD. What's your PhD in? Let's
Forensic pathology.
Forensic pathology, which
Correct.
is like the stuff you see on all the TV shows.
So I
nowadays?
was a medical examiner.
Okay. All
Yes.
right. So, okay. All the TV shows that they talk about and all that kind of stuff. What a night and day different industry to be in.
Absolutely.
And obviously I'm sure being a PhD, you have to know everything, which, comes with the territory. So that's probably just ingrained in you to just want to be the best in any field that you're in. Let's talk about these other experts that you've been. So let's talk about Justin and what experience that him and you are bringing to the trucking industry.
Well, we bring 20 years of experience, not necessarily all of it from me,
Right.
but Justin moved rigs since he was 18 years old. This is what he's done, oil and gas. He was a crane operator. He's run every piece of equipment it takes to drill, other
Right.
than, he's been on the floor too, but that's not where his passion was. And so when we got married, it was our honeymoon. Literally, we went and bought a semi truck.
Okay.
And since that day, we have been in a truck together 24/7 until we got big enough that neither one of us are in a truck unless he has to be in a truck.
Yeah.
And it just, something that I really enjoy about trucking was the family unity in it.
Okay.
I don't necessarily always like the headache day to day from employees, because employees are employees for a reason.
Mhm.
And sometimes the family unity is a strain, because my son works for me as well.
Yeah.
But I have learned so much in the trucking industry, especially in oil and gas, and that is not the only arena we have been in. Like I said, diversification is extremely important.
Yeah.
But we move really big stuff as well. We took an extremely large load, a super load, out of Houston all the way to North Dakota that took us about 5 weeks to move. It was, 22 foot wide, 22 foot tall. Gross, I think we were like 220. I think we're actually more than that. I think we were like 260 gross weight. And
So it took 5 weeks.
5 weeks. Just a week to get out of Houston.
Wow.
It would be phenomenal if I could show you some pictures of it. We had, police escorts. We had all the power companies from every municipality from Houston all the way to North Dakota with us, dropping some off, picking up new ones, and all of our escorts. It's amazing to watch. Cranes had to be in front of us to take poles down, or light poles down, or power poles down. It was pretty phenomenal.
In today's world, and I just want to highlight one thing before I finish that, is that Justin is here in the studio, and in our pre-production meeting, you could just tell that you two know so much together, and that's why I wanted to highlight Justin on just real quick, because what a wealth of knowledge that he is.
Yes, absolutely.
But so getting back to your super load, 5 weeks to go, what, 2,000 miles? I mean, I don't know what
Roughly
it is. Roughly about 2,000 miles.
Correct.
In today's age, you would never think that would take that long. And took a whole week to get out of Houston, at least where I sit, thinking, oh, there's no way it would take 5 weeks. How many pilot cars, right? And escorts, how many of those did y'all go through during that time? Do you remember?
So police escorts, we had to have 3.
Okay.
Police escorts. Pilot cars, we had to have 3, 2 in front and 1 in the rear. Because of the height, we had to have high poles.
Right.
But it's the bucket trucks that you have to lift the non-powered lines, and then all the electrical companies as well. So the pre-planning of it was really extensive to get, if you think about all the municipalities that are going to be from just in Houston,
Yeah.
you're crossing over 4 different power grids. And so then you have to have a company from a representative from every one of those companies, because nobody can touch their power lines but them.
Right.
And so they're having to turn power off to get us underneath certain power lines. Of course, the consumers were probably not happy with us coming through.
Right.
But all the way through every single solitary state has multiple municipalities going through there. So you planning it to where when you're going to stop at one power company and pick up the next.
Yeah.
And being able to plan that and work around their schedules, because they don't work around your schedule. We work around theirs. So sometimes we'd have to wait 3 or 4 days for the next power company to pick us up.
Wow.
So we'd be stuck in Nebraska for a week because the next power company said, I'm sorry, we had a storm come through. We have to get power back to these people before we can move you again.
Right.
So that's why it takes so long to move.
Wow. But again, like you said, I'm glad you highlighted all the stuff up front as well. I mean, that is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 weeks, that is just so much there. What you mentioned diversification, and in our pre-production meeting, we were talking about how in North Dakota, where again, that's one of the basins y'all are in, they're now doing these 4-mile laterals, and how on the exploration and production side, we're getting larger amounts of oil from, oh my gosh, I'm butchering my own statement. Basically, we're getting more oil from less wells, and that the service side is having to change and adapt. How do you see that happening in the trucking side of what's going on?
So we're not moving the drilling rigs as often, correct?
Right.
So we still have to service those wells.
Okay.
So we, up in North Dakota, we move all the workover rigs that are pretty much all of them up there, because so Cord came in and bought up a whole bunch of companies up there, and we are one of their top trucking companies. They call us first. So we're moving all of the service for them, which even though we're drilling lateral and moving less drilling rigs, you're still having to work over those wells more often, in fact.
Okay.
And so we're moving those daily.
Okay. And are you finding then that even though these consolidations are happening, there's still a lot of work out there on your side in the trucking?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And then with the trucking side, again, I've done some fun interviews, and I always give a shout out to trucking, because without that, nothing moves. And so if somebody says, or they're surprised, oh my gosh, you're in trucking, what do you tell them? Oh man, if our prices or the economy is the way it is, and if diesel prices are high, what are you telling somebody about the trucking if they ever were upset with the trucking industry or things like that?
When you bring up diesel prices, I think it's funny that in a trucking company, you'd think we'd hate the prices to be low. Mm-hmm. But if you're in the oil and gas industry, you like those high diesel prices because then we're working more.
Right.
Because when it was $5 a gallon for diesel, I think we were 160 something a barrel, right?
Yeah.
So we were working really hard then, and then our pricing can go higher. So we really fluctuate based on what the price of oil is. Yes, higher oil prices, higher diesel prices, but then we get to charge a little bit more too. So it works itself out. But sometimes I'm even driving on the road and hate the trucks that are around me. So I can't say that I'm not one of those people that are cussing the truck driver next to me, but we all need it. There's nothing in the world that moves without trucks. Yeah. It doesn't matter what it is. Our sneakers got there from a truck. So it's the perfect industry to be in, especially right now. Trucking's not going anywhere.
Okay.
There's a lot of laws that are changing, a lot of regulatory things that we have to adapt to and we have to bend and change with. But laws govern all of us. It doesn't matter what we're doing. Yeah. It's just a matter of adapting and bending and making sure that we can fit in where the laws want us to be.
What is one one attribute that you're seeing on why trucking is not going away? Like, I know it's kind of a hokey question, but sometimes I get that about, well, why do you think oil's not going away? It's like, well, here's why. What would be one reason why it's like it's not going to change to cargo ships or to rail or, something else?
It's a lot more expensive to drop rail down to get to everywhere it needs to go. Yeah. And trucking, I don't think trucking can go away. I mean, you can't drop ship things anywhere.
Right.
So you have to have a way to transport every product we have. Mm-hmm. And you can't get rid of trucking in the oil and gas industry, or you're not going to get that rig over to the next place. It just isn't going to happen. Yeah. Now, I think that we're seeing less and less trucks out there because we can do more with less. We're able to move a drilling rig. It may be, 100 and something components to it, but it's not taking near as many trucks to get it moved to the distance. I think pre-planning is making a big difference. Mm-hmm. If you can get the oil company to pre-plan, it's a lot easier. You'll see we're drilling here and they want to drill over here, but we're going to drill here the next week, right next door. So a little bit of pre-planning makes it to where we don't have to utilize so many trucks to be able to move it.
Right.
I think they're thinking about that more, is how can we utilize the trucking to make it a little more cost effective? And that's the biggest solution we need is cost effect.
When these customers or clients are using you guys and trying to be more cost effective with their bottom line, obviously that means y'all, as I tease y'all are becoming leaner and meaner. What are y'all doing on y'all's end to actually do that leaner and meaner and be that way?
So we do some pre-planning with our customers.
Okay.
So we have some exclusive customers that we only move their equipment. And so at the beginning of every year, we sit down and pre-plan, this is what we project. They're projecting to us how often they're going to move and distances. And so we'll sit down and pre-bid what we're going to do it for. Okay. So we have one particular customer that we move their rigs probably 3 or 4 times a week, sometimes more, depending on how far they're moving or what they're drilling. Depth matters.
Right.
And so we've been able to go in at the beginning of this year and went and told them these are our prices for moving it so many miles.
Yeah.
And that has made it to where they can pre-plan, and they know when they go to the oil company and say, we're going to go work for you, they know this many miles, it's going to cost them this much to move it. They can talk to the oil companies and get that approval before it's even moved. It's all in budgeting.
Right.
And we know where we're going to be too. So it helps us to be able to budget where we're at and project. Projection is what matters. Yeah. If we can project that we're going to, make this much money, and then at the end of the year, we're like, well, we were a little lean, we need to make some more. We go back to the table in January and just do it again.
Okay. I want to switch gears because you said something that was fun. It's like, hey, I understand not liking trucking, especially being on the roads. Safety.
Yes.
You guys are, knock on wood, phenomenal. What are y'all doing? And for those out there that don't understand the safety aspect of what y'all are doing, can you just start there and just talk about how much safety is involved in everyday trucking that y'all, not just those super sized loads that y'all got?
Well, safety is the number one thing because everyone wants to get home to their family, correct? Yes. And so we have safety meetings all the time. If it's a tailgate meeting first thing before a rig move, that's mandatory. Okay. So they'll pre-plan everything, and everybody needs to be involved in safety. Safety doesn't come from the top. Safety comes from the swamper on the ground.
Okay.
That's directing the trucks, where to be, what to do. But it also, if you just build a safety environment always, and there's no room for error, it's not. So the owner of Key Energy had said something the other day on LinkedIn, and I loved it, where he was talking about safety. I don't know if you read his Marshall's post, but he had said that if you can basically foster safety in everything you do, it becomes second nature. Yep. It's not in what's written down. It's not that JSA that everybody just skims over and checks some boxes and says, this is our safety analysis of this move. It's a safety culture. It becomes where it's procedure. It's something that is done every single step, every single solitary day. And if you start that when you hire that person and they know that there's no other options, safety is mandatory, then they all go home every day. Yeah. Now, in West Texas, it's one of the deadliest places you can be in a truck. There are so many accidents that are preventable. We had a dear friend of ours this year that was killed, and in a split second, he did nothing wrong, but somebody had just veered into his lane. 2 semi-trucks head-on collision. It was a terrible, terrible accident. He was leaving a job site that He was on for us. We'd hired him. And I think about the company that hit him, underinsured, no safety standards, no safety records. And the industry has to change. And I will jump on that soapbox right now. The industry must change. We must have a safety culture out there. Defensive driving is extremely important. We road test every single driver that comes to work for us. We know their capabilities, and we don't allow drivers to come that aren't willing to ride the brand. Don't go out there and, do it all different than how we said we want it done. And if you can't do that, you just don't have a place with us, because safety is so important. My son works for us. I want to make sure he comes home to my grandchild. So he has to be safe. And I'm probably the hardest on him out of anybody, because I don't know if you have children, but your children, you expect more out of them than anybody else. And he really pushes that home with everybody else too. You got to be safe. You got to be safe. And he's turned down loads, and to our own customers called me up and said, I'm pulling the mom card. Tell me if I should do this or not. If it's not safe, we just don't do it. It's that simple. Just stop. And it has to change. The industry has to change to be a safer industry.
How can the word get out to change that? You mentioned regulations and rules and the safety side of things. I remember just even back in 2011. I mean, and again, it wasn't that long ago, but it was a wild, wild west out there. Purple Cattle Guard Road out there with Jow before the giant, not all subs, but the J before the Jays was there. I mean, it was a different time out there. But safety has changed and it has evolved. But from where I sit literally right now, I mean, how many commercials do I see every day on TV about, were you in an accident with a big rig? And so for you to sit here and say, hey, we do need to be better about this. What an eye opener that is, Tracy, to really share with that, going, no, like we want people to be at the same standards that we are, if not better. And I think, again, that's reason why y'all are one of the premier companies in the trucking industry, is because of that safety standard that y'all hold alone. So thank you guys for that. How can we change this and do these things? And obviously y'all are setting an example, but what else can be done?
I really, when you say legislation's there.
Okay.
It's changing every day. FMCSA just put out a big announcement that, you have to have a CDL, and
the what?
You have FMCSA. So that's the Federal Motor Carrier Association. That's our governing agency.
They just did that because of an incident with an illegal person. Yes. Okay.
So legislation is changing, and for the better. And everybody says we don't want more regulations, but we need the regulations. It is so important to make sure that something as simple as doing a pre-check, like you have to do a pre-check, pre-trip, whatever we're calling them, before you get out there. Are your tires inflated? Are your brakes adjusted? It is so important just to make sure that the truck is ready to go. Now, you and I don't check our vehicles when we go. We walk around and jump in a car and we just assume everything's great, right? But it's also not 80,000 pounds. That's a big difference. So making sure the drivers are doing their pre-checks, making sure that everything looks good and safe is very important. I know a lot of companies probably don't do it. And I hate to say that, but I could drive down the road and look at a truck and tell if it has been done or not.
Wow.
And I can also look at my trucks and tell if it's been done or not. But it's not something that we allow. It must be done. It just has to be. You have to have, but like I said, you have to start that from day one that you employ somebody. You have to push safety. And the oil and gas industry is great about safety. When I very first started on oil and gas, I used to say we're going to safety ourselves out of work because there was just so many regulations and they just keep coming. They're just going to keep coming.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
But it's important because we want people to go home.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had incidents and we've had accidents out on location. And you know what happens is we stop. We talk about it. What happened? Why did it happen? And how do we not have it happen again? And if we have to change things, it's changed immediately. If something needs to be implemented to bring on more safety, it's done immediately. It's not questioned. It's not, can we budget for this next month? That's not an option. It's now, and it will be fixed. And every company must do that. And I hold people accountable to it. If I hire you, you have to meet our standards. We're not coming to your standards. And that's just how it has to be.
When you talk about y'all standards and what y'all are doing with your employees, what are some of the services? Because you talked about rig moving, and what was that giant thing?
A compressor. So we move compressors. Yes.
So y'all do a lot of the compressors as well. And then you mentioned the back truck. So what are all the services y'all provide?
So we do hot shots.
Okay.
Which are just pickups. Mm-hmm. And then we do winch trucks. We have rig up trucks, which are bed trucks, pole trucks, so rig up and rig down the rigs. Mm-hmm. And we have hydrovacs. So it's not just moving liquids, it's actually, cleaning out tanks. And I really don't know so much about hydrovacs. That's a new arena for me, but I know they can dig safely. So they line locate, they locate pipes in the ground. I don't know a ton about that, so I don't want to say more. Ask me anything about rig up trucks or winch trucks. I got you. Or moving a rig. But we do offer that service, and it's a new one in West Texas for us. So we've just been doing that about 5 months.
Diversification.
Exactly. That's very important.
Let me ask you, where do you see trucking headed in the future?
Let's not say autonomous, or however
autonomous.
I do not like that. So
Peterbilt has some, right?
They do. And so there's a frac company or sand company out in West Texas and New Mexico that's running them. And they've been doing it for a while now. Okay. I heard they just had an accident with 2 of them colliding because of the dust. But I know in our industry, as far as rig moving, it's an impossibility. No. We can't do it. I mean, they've talked about it. They've talked about getting less drivers in those trucks. So, AI is super smart and can do anything. And we've talked about that just yesterday at the power conference, as how AI is coming, which it is. We all know AI is coming, but let's not have those trucks.
Is it kind of weird how everybody's it's coming? Like there's nothing we can do about it. It's not totally off subject there, but isn't that kind of weird that we're just it's coming, but yet we've seen several movies.
I know. Terminator. When's that coming?
I'm sorry. Keep going. But you're just so lackadaisical. It's coming, embrace it. But okay, so AI. And what else?
Well, and so I don't know. AI is such a huge subject right now. We could spend another hour just on AI.
I know. I was at 2 panels. I did 2 panels for family offices myself just 2 weeks ago. And one of them was about AI and oil and gas. Really, it's going to be natural gas providing the power for not only AI, but for the data centers that are going to hold all the data, right, for the AI. And that people are starting to really learn now that a Google search in AI is 10 times, takes 10 times as much energy.
Yes.
And, I've said that before, but AI is coming, and, this autonomous.
It's a big word.
Trucks with no people driving in them. Okay. That is a little crazy. And then also the electrical trucks that, that's what I like to always tell people. And correct me if I'm wrong. Here's what I tell people. We're not going to see real significant changes to the auto industry, electric wise or solar power wise, until cargo transportation has adapted to it and can actually use it. Because how much does one normal 18-wheeler, how many miles can the average 18-wheeler travel on a tank of gas?
Probably about 300 miles.
Okay.
300-400, depending on how heavy the load is, but I'd say 300-400 miles.
300-400 miles, right? Mm-hmm. So that means we have to have a solar power or electrical vehicle that can do that, and then also be able to fill up in the same amount of time and keep on the road. Once I feel like they've embraced it on the cargo transportation side, then it will actually change on the personal vehicle. That's what I tell people.
I always wonder what AI is going to fill that load. Like, who's putting all those boxes in there for Amazon? Who's chaining those loads down? We absolutely cannot have no drivers.
That's true.
When it's sand, it's easy. You just pull up to a conveyor belt that dumps it in there. So it's working great for sand.
Yeah.
But who's loading those van trucks? Yeah. Who's chaining down all these loads? I don't want a robot doing it.
Yeah.
Because do we know that it's tied down correctly? It's an impossibility. We're never going to get away from drivers. Yeah. It's just, I can't see it happening, because you still have to have someone loading it.
Yeah.
You still have to someone checking to make sure the refrigerant's in there to keep all the food cold. Who's doing that?
Yeah.
Can a computer can do it and see that there's enough Freon in there and that everything's still cold, but who's loading it? I don't know. I don't see it. Yeah. I see it becoming a huge problem. What I look at is an 80,000 pound something where AI just got pissed off at you that day and is now crashing. I'm sure that's what I see because I'm also a product of, child from back in the 80s where we saw these crazy movies where
Short Circuit, you remember that one too,
so
right?
We don't want, who's doing this? When's AI mad? And so all of a sudden iRobot or whatever it is with Will Smith, right?
That was basically Terminator.
Yes.
But it was Will Smith. He has a gift.
Our age, we all think about the movies that came out and our children are embracing it. They're like, we love it. We love AI. We don't have to think anymore. So like I said, AI, we could go on forever how I feel about it. But I don't want it in trucking. I'm just going to, and it's not because I own trucks and I have employees. That's not the reason I don't want it. I think I'm the safety issues.
Right.
It is a huge safety issue because a computer can mess up. So can a human.
Yeah.
But when a computer messes up, who's fixing it?
Yeah. Whose fault is it?
Yeah. And when a driver messes up, I'm a phone call away and I can walk them through it. Let's figure it out together.
Yeah.
Justin's a phone call away and they can say, I made a wrong turn. Help me figure this out. I'm 17 feet tall and I have a 14-foot bridge in front of me and TexPros routed me this way. What am I supposed to do? Yeah. That AI truck is going to drive through that because TexPros said that bridge is 18 foot tall, but they forgot that it's not anymore.
Yeah.
Construction changed it. Yeah. We run into that with permitting all the time where we are too big to fit under the bridge.
So y'all triple check. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't, that AI truck's not going to know that.
Yeah. And I know as a driver on the road, I get nervous sometimes when you're going underneath, like, oh, is that truck going to make it? And, but knock on wood, they always have whenever I'm driving. Tracy, for those out there that, want to get a hold of you guys, want to work with y'all, can you tell me again, what kind of clients and customers y'all are looking for and then how they can reach you guys?
So oil and gas, anything in the oil and gas industry, and I shouldn't say that because really we'll move anything. Okay. I was telling you earlier, trucks have tires for a reason. They can go wherever the need is.
Yeah, you said that. They go where they got to go.
People will always call me up and say, do you work out of South Texas? We do, because we can drive there and move it for you.
Yeah.
A way to reach us is northcountryoil.com. Mm-hmm. And also I can leave my phone number out here so anybody can call me. I'm the one that people call when they need the work, and then I'll pass it on to my dispatchers and they can make sure that the trucks are scheduled.
Gotcha. And you guys are 24/7?
24/7, yes.
365 days a year?
The only day Texas doesn't let us move anything is Christmas. Other than that, Texas is pretty lenient on getting everything moved.
Golly, God bless Texas, right?
Yes. Now, we can always work.
Now, y'all have a heavy presence, like you mentioned, in North Dakota, but y'all are from here. Is that correct?
So we live here, yes.
Yeah.
I tried to live in East Texas for a long time, but I kind of missed my family. So now I am in West Texas as well. We have a huge business in North Dakota as well. We're out of Partial, North Dakota, and have quite a big presence up there. But West Texas is home to us, and that's where I think we're going to be for a while.
Oh, man. Well, West Texas isn't going anywhere, and neither is the oil.
No, it's not.
It's going to continue to be produced, and we're going to continue to find more ways to produce it and find reasons to get trucks there. We use it on the majority of our leases just to get it out. We have a few that we're lucky to pipeline out and blessed to have the pipeline, but everything else is trucked out on a daily basis, and we love it. We can't complain. Tracy, I cannot thank you enough for you and your husband traveling this way and sharing with us so much that's going on within the trucking industry, and being a great rep out of West Texas. I always love it. As I told you before, when we have on individuals from West Texas, I kind of feel like my producer that we always have West Texas people in South Lake. I think so. Right? Yeah. And so I cannot thank you enough for coming into town. Again, I know y'all have been doing some traveling lately, so just thank you so much. And to all the listeners out there, again, if y'all have any questions or if you're looking that you need some gear moved, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Be more than happy to get you in contact with this great team over there. And thank you as always. And we'll see you again on another episode of The Crude Truth.
Again, The Crude Truth would like to thank today's sponsors: LFS Chemistry, NAPE Expo, Air Compressor Solutions, Sandstone Group, Exec Crew, Texas Star Alliance, Pecos Country Operating, and Real News Communication Network.
The easiest way to start your own podcast and TV show? Real News Communications Network. Stand out from your competition. Produce streams of high-quality social media content. Become a thought leader in your industry. With RNCN, you get to be the host. We handle everything else. Tour one of our 3 locations in Dallas, Fort Worth, and the Colony. Call 972-402-6333 or visit launchashow.com to find out more.